Hare Krishna. This morning we are reading from Sri Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 7, text 34-35. On the board is 35. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Vishwarup Uvacha Vigardhitam Dharma Shile Vigardhitam Dharma Shile Brahma Varcha Upavyayam Brahma Varcha Upavyayam Katam nu mad vidho nata Katam nu mad vidho nata Lokeshar abhiyachitam Lokeshar abhiyachitam Pratyakhasyati taschisya Pratyakhasyati taschisya Sadeva svata uchite Sadeva svata uchite Sri Vishwarupa Vacham Vigaritam Dharma Shile Brahma Varcha Upavyayam Katam nu mad vidho nata Lokeshar abhiyachitam Pratyakhasyati taschisya Sariva svata uchite Shri Vishwarupa Vacha Vigaritam Dharma Shile Brahma Varcha Upavyayam Katham nu mad vidho nata Lokesha abhiyachitam Pratyakhyashati taschisya Sareva svata uchite Shri Vishwarupa Vacha Yadhitam Damashile Brahmavacha Upavyayam Katham namad vidho nata Lokeshwar abhiyachitam Pratyakhyashati taschisya Sa eva svata uchite Shri Vishwarupa Vacha Vigaritam Damashile Brahmavacha Upavyayam Katam nu mad vidho nata Lokeshar abhiyachitam Pratyakhyashati taschisya Sareva svata uchite Shri Vishwarupa Vacha Vigaritam Damashile Brahma Varcha Upavyayam Kadam nu mad vidho nata Lokeshar abhiyachitam Pratyakhyashati taschisya Sareva svata uchite Shri Vishwarupa Vacha Haritam Namashile Brahma Vacha Upavyayam Kadam nu mad vidho nata Lokeshar abhiyachitam Pratyakyayasatasya sareva swaduchate. Mataji. Shiva Surupa Uvacha Haritam Damashile Pamavacha Upavyayam Katham Numad Vidhonata Lokeshadabhyachitam. Pratyakashati tasyasya sareva svada uchate. Sri Vishnurupa uvacha garitam damashile ramavacha upavyayam katam nama vidhonata lokeshara viryachitam. Pratyakshashati tasyasya sareva svada uchate. Sri Vishwarup uvacha. Sri Vishwarup said, Vigarhitam, condemned, dharma shile, by persons respectful to the religious principles. Brahma varcha, of Brahminical strength or power. Upavyayam, causes loss. Katam, how? Nu, indeed. Matvidaha, a person like me. Nathaha, O Lords. Loka Ishaya, by the ruling powers of different planets. Habhyachitam, request. Pratyakshasati, will refuse. Tatsisyaha, who is on the level of their disciple. Saha, that. Eva, indeed. Sva-artha, real interest. Uchate is described as. Translation purport by Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sri Vishwarup said, O demigods, although the acceptance of priesthood is decried as causing a loss of previously acquired Brahminical power, how can someone like me refuse to accept your personal request? You are all exalted commanders of the entire universe. I am your disciple and must take many lessons from you. Therefore, I cannot refuse you. I must agree for my own benefit. Please repeat. Sri Vishwarup said, O demigods, although the acceptance of priesthood is decried as causing a loss of previously acquired Brahminical power, how can someone like me refuse to accept your personal request? You are all exalted commanders of the entire universe. I am your disciple and must take lessons from you. Therefore, I cannot refuse you. I must agree for my own benefit. Purport. The professions of a qualified Brahmana are Pratana, Pathana, Yajana, Dhana, and Pratigraha. The words Yajana and Yajana mean that a Brahmana becomes the priest of the populace for the sake of their elevation. One who accepts the post of a spiritual master neutralizes the sinful reactions of the yajnaman, the one on whose behalf he performs yajna. Thus, the result of the pious acts previously performed by the priest or spiritual master are diminished. Therefore, priesthood is not accepted by learned brahmanas. Nevertheless, the greatly learned brahmana Vishwarup became the priest of the demigods because of his profound respect for them. And the purpose. I read text 34 and 35 and 34. Sukadeva Goswami continued, when all the demigods requested the great Vishwarup to be their priest, Vishwarupa, who was advanced in austerities, was very pleased. He replied to them as follows. Sri Vishwarup said, O demigods, although the acceptance of priesthood is decried as causing the loss of previously acquired Brahminical power, how can someone like me refuse to accept your personal request? You are all exalted commanders of the entire universe. I am your disciple and must take many lessons from you. Therefore, I cannot refuse you. I must agree for my own benefit. Om Jnanam Janandasya Jananjanakaya Chakshurmitam Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nevishesha Shannavari Pasari Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Garadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter is entitled Indra Offends Brihaspati. So the because of Vaishnava Aparad, then the demigods have lost their position, controlling position. The Lord puts the demigods in charge of the higher planets to control the higher planets, and he puts the asuras in charge of the lower planetary systems. But the asuras' mentality is they want to control everything, even if it's against the actual will of the Lord. So they found this opportunity because of the offense made by the Devas, headed by Indra, to their guru, Brihaspati. So now they're in a dilemma, so they went to Lord Brahma and asked what to do. He told them what the cause of the problem was, and he told them the solution. You have no guru. He's disappeared. He's annoyed with you. So you find another. You trace out another guru, and he recommended Vishwarup. He's a very qualified brahmana, although he's also favorable towards the demons. But he's highly qualified because of his austerity. He has a lot of brahmana tejas. So they approached him and flattered him, and asked if he would be the priest, and he was very happy to oblige, because they're more or less like his uncles. So he was because of his profound respect for them. His father was Twasta, one of the sage. I think he was a Prajapati also. The Prajapatis and the Devas are they're on the same level. Sometimes they're more. The Prajapati sage is actually more than the demigods. Indeed, the demigods come from the Prajapati. But generally, because of their position as ruling the universes, and the sages, or the sages, they generally don't interface much with society. They're there for advice. The Brahmanas, who are not actually sages, they interface with the society, and they perform their activities to direct the society. So when they when they perform some activity like this, it means that you're going to lose some of your acquired sukriti or punya or brahminical tejas in this respect. Because the brahmanas, they get this power by sacrifice, tapasya, and the pious activities they perform, which mainly from the associating with the Lord through the scripture, studying the Vedas. That's the occupation. Prabhupada gives those occupational duties of the Brahmana, and the purport is patana patana. That means patana means that one is very expert in the scriptures, studying the scriptures. Bhagavad Pat, they say in Hindi or in Bengali. So patana, one is expert at studying the scriptures, and patana, with a big A, long A, that means he's able to teach the same thing, the scripture. Brahman is a teacher. Then the yajana means he knows how to perform worship, sacrifices, ritual. He's expert at that. And yajana means he can teach the same thing also. And dana means he can give in charity. He gives in charity. Pratigraha means he can accept charity. Those qualifications of being the teacher, studying and teaching, that they qualify him to accept charity. Whereas like the Kshatriyas or the Vaishyas, they're not allowed to accept charity. But Brahma can live on charity because he doesn't work. He doesn't have a job. This is his life. Therefore, he's always pure and free. Because if you work for somebody, then you're obliged to them. Then you can be influenced. You can come under their control. Just like Prabhupada mentions how Chanaka, Pandit, who was the minister of king, but he lived very simply. He lived in a little cottage, although he was the prime minister, practically, the advisor. He was aloof, because if someone's paying you, then they have some control over you. So that the brahmanas should always be free, so that they can be just and not favorable towards a particular person, circumstance. They have to be broad-minded. So they'll get that by Brahmana means one in the mode of goodness, practically. So their businesses are studying and performing worship and teaching others. So this is it's Shravanam Kirtanam, practically speaking. Smaranam. So they're the greatest activities of the living entity. The living entity is position in the material world can be judged by how he's affected by the modes of nature. So one in the mode of goodness, a brahmana, he's better situated than anyone else in the mode of passion and ignorance. Although it's still a material mode of nature, but still he's better situated, because the mode of goodness is progressive. Of course, they have to work together. All the human beings in the different orders, they have to work together. Prabhupada said of the different parts of the body, the legs, the belly, the arms, and the head. The head is actually the most necessary. So the Brahmanas have that. They're the head. They give the direction. Although they don't have that Raja Tejas, they don't have that power or ability maybe to go out and actually do the job. So then the administrators, they have to get the actual work done. But still, the Brahmana has the direction in the work and the mentality in which one works in are probably the very important factors. Because you need direction to get the work done in the proper way. Because activities performed in the mode of goodness are more, the results are more enduring, means they're longer, more sustainable, they're longer lasting than those that are performed in a mode of passion and ignorance. So that when you perform, he says, Srila Prabhupada was saying how the Brahmanas, they live for they work for the general advancement of the populace. So the Brahmana is the guru, is the leader of society. And it means that the society should be led towards self-realization, God-realization, how to become free from the cycle of birth and death. That's the ultimate teaching, that's the ultimate purpose in life. Apart from that, there's not much meaning to the activities in life if they don't lead to this direction. So those Brahmanas, they're actually to guide the Kshatriyas who engage, who control the Vaishyas, who employ the Sudras, because maximum people are 999 out of 1,000 are Sudras generally. So that's a general breakdown of it. It is one Brahmana can instruct 9 Kshatriyas. 9 Kshatriyas can control 90 Vaishyas, and 90 Vaishyas can employ 900 Sudras. So then it's working like that. But when they do these rituals, they're going to obviously lose some of you're doing it for someone else's benefit. So therefore you lose your, or as Prabhupada said, you're absorbing some of their karmas. It's the same thing, whether you absorb their karmas or you're losing you're offering your good karmas for their benefit. Then that's a situation. But because they're broad-minded, they do that. So mode of goodness or Brahmana means not broad-minded, not selfish. The more the lower modes, and the more selfish one becomes. If someone's in the mode of ignorance, they're very much bodily conscious, very selfish, concerned with their own immediate condition. Whereas a person is broad-minded, then he starts to think about others' interest. So therefore these people who, in the mode of goodness, they do a lot of humanitarian work and things like that, trying to help society or humanity. They try for that because actually they're better situated. Their problems are not so acute. Their personal problems are not so acute. They're a bit aloof from it. They're more broad-minded. Their activities in the mode of goodness result in knowledge and happiness. Activities in the mode of passion result in distress, and activities in the mode of tamaguna, ignorance, that results in suffering. So obviously a person's always engaged in the mode of activities in the mode of goodness, then his life is going to be a lot easier, a lot simpler. One of the qualities we see, if we think that people who we know, who we think they're in the mode of goodness, generally their life is quite simple. They're not complicated. They don't have these hang-ups and problems. Conversely, those are more in the lower modes, angry, upset, or grumpy, and complaining. Right? We know those. We exhibit those natures ourselves sometimes. So therefore, it's always recommended to come to the mode of goodness. So the activities and the just like our lifestyle, basically on the mode of goodness. Right? We get up before the sun rises, take a bath, put on clean cloth, mark the body with tilak, go to see the deity, chant the names of Krishna. Of course, it's transcendental. This is the liberated platform, but still, you see, it's actually mode of goodness. It's how the brahmanas live. Only eat prasadam, non-veg. Worship the Lord, worship the Tulsi, chant the Lord's names, and engage in activities which are favorable to Krishna consciousness. So this is the actual transcendental position. May not be realization, but at least externally it can be viewed as the platform of goodness. It's actually pure goodness when the consciousness is proper. So, of all the people, then the devotees or the of Krishna, Vishnu, they're the greatest of the brahmanas. So even they're not, even they, just like all the devotees here, very exalted position in the universe. We feel like ordinary people, but actually compared with the rest of the population, we're far, far ahead of them. You're much more exalted than all these other people, even though they may be, executive heads of states or managing big concerns. We may not have that ability, but still, as far as real life, real progression in life is concerned, you left them all behind because they actually have no direction, if they have no direction, that is. So although they have ability to do things, and they do things, but if there's no direction, then what's the actual use? What is the eternal benefit? There's no actual benefit. So it's always better to stay in the mode of goodness. There you're more likely to run into saintly people, because saintly people, they generally travel to holy places or purified places. They don't go to the impure places. Only the ISKCON preachers, they go to those hellish places for preaching purposes. Otherwise, you don't generally find the saintly people in those places which are too rajasic or tamistic. Why would you don't go there to find those people? So therefore, come to the mode of goodness, and you're more likely to meet saintly people, come into contact with Vaishnavas, come into contact with pure devotees, come into contact with the Lord, through His holy name, through His prasadam, through His service, through His Rath Yatra festival, or whatever. Go to the temple, grind some chandan, devotional service. So these are actual, real activities. So although Vishwarup is understanding, if I'm going to be your Prohit, then I'm going to lose a certain amount of my Brahminical tejas. But anyway, I'll do it anyway. So that's selfless. He's not selfish, you see. He's not thinking of his own advancement there. He's going to do it just because he's a nice person. And he says, I must agree for my own benefit. For he'll benefit by being a nice person, being recognized as a good person, and also he may get blessings. When you do some selfish activity, you get people will bless you. So that's for his own benefit. But on the personal level, on the karma level, then it's not so beneficial to perform these activities. When the priest does his activities, he loses, especially that Shraddha ceremony, the Pinda ceremony you do for the departed souls. That takes a lot of punya away, takes it away. So the brahmanas, they have to live a pure life, because they're going to accept the sins of others. That's why I said a guru should not accept too many disciples. Of course, first class transcendental guru, who's actually a pure devotee. Then he's surrendered to Krishna, so he's understanding that Krishna is sending me these living entities to engage me in service, and or my spiritual master is sending like that. This is the vision. So then they don't identify themselves as as being a guru per se, just a disciple executing the orders of their spiritual master, of Krishna, and doing it, an understanding of the actual procedure that Krishna or Guru, they are directing these living entities my way to assist me in my service. They see it as a service, so therefore not attached to result. And because they're not doing it for themselves, for their position or their own aggrandizement, then there's no karma there, because if you do for yourself, then the karma will come to you. If you do for Krishna, the karma will go to him. But of course it won't affect Krishna. So they have to remain very pure. Otherwise, by default, the occupational hazard is they will accept karma from other people. That's the nature of their service. That is why people always like to invite you for prasadam. Come to our house and have a program. And we think, great, we get some nice prasadam, different from the temple prasadam. They make all these nice things, sweets and different things. But actually, the house, the family gets purified by that. By you're coming there, you're chanting the holy name, you're accepting their karmas, you see, eating their food. So there's some reaction. They're getting purified. So where do the impurities go? So that's the occupational hazard of a Vaishnava, his occupational duty. But if you're pure, then they won't affect you. But if you're not so pure, then these things are going to affect us. But Vishwarupa is a very advanced soul. He's not concerned about his own loss or gain. No, you're my uncles, you're my Prabhus, you're running the whole universe. I have to do it. I'm obliged to do it, and I'd like to do it. So he did it with an open heart. Happily did it, even though he knew that he would accept some reaction for that. So this is a very nice mentality that we could have. One of the conditions, prerequisites of a disciple before he accepts a guru, he should be expected to do things that he normally wouldn't like to do. So he should happily do those things, even if he has a service to the spiritual master. But the whole storyline it's a lot of passion here building up. You know, there's the whole Indra and the demigods. They're attached to their position. Of course, the Lord gave them that position. They're attached. They've lost their position, and they're going to they're using flattering words to flatter this Brahmana or great Brahmana. You know, you're obliging him to do it. For what is the purpose? To get their position back. It's my service to Krishna, right? But actually it's not actually pure devotional service. They have these mixtures there. They're attached to their positions, and they get upset. Therefore, they get upset when they lose them. Otherwise, why are you upset? You only get upset when you're attached to something, and it's taken away. Attachment, and when the attachment there, then the separation causes pain because we're attached, and that rips your subtle body. You see, so you feel distress. So it's because of that attachment. Vishwarupa's not attached in his mentality, but these demigods are attached, and you will see that they actually once again regain the kingdom. But the big history, a big story there, because we like stories. We like interesting stories because we like the modes of passion, right? Because they're exciting. Bhagavatam wouldn't be very interesting if it was just about the lives of pure devotees, right? This morning he got up before the sun rose, before the cock crowed, and did his ablutions, sat on kusha grass and faced east and chanted his mantras. Then he went to worship the deity. Then he went to gather some firewood and made, it's not so interesting. We like a little bit of action, a little bit of spice, right? A little bit of romance and diplomacy and all those things. So therefore the Puranas are written, Mahabharata, etc., because this is the kind of subject matter that we like. It can hold our attention. It's not pure devotion we're speaking about here, you see. It's Bhagavatam is only speaking about pure devotional service to Krishna, but this is not about pure devotion to Krishna. But we will see how Indra is so attached, he loses all his good intelligence again, and he makes a great offense. Brahmahatya, great offense to Vishwarupa, because Vishwarupa is equal to the demons, so he's also doing swaha, 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 swaha to the demigods and the demons. And then because of that, then Indra is cursed by Vishwarupa's father, Twasta, a big sage. Twasta is so angry at Indra that he produces a big demon to kill Indra. But that demon, Vittusura, is a very wonderful story because it's actually a pure devotee. So we're leading up to this. We're gonna by this incident, a pure devotee, the activities and the words and the philosophy of the pure devotees are going to be heard. There's a very glorious chapter about Vritra Asura, who's a great pure devotee who enlightened Indra, made him very much ashamed of his being attached like that. So the smaller stories may not be exactly like teaching love of God, but they will lead to the activities and mentality of the pure devotees. But in any case, we can learn from the mistakes. We can learn what not to do from these other stories, we can learn who is successful and who is unsuccessful by these histories. So we can follow follow in the footsteps of those that are successful, and desist from activities which those people have followed who weren't unsuccessful. So we learn from both. Right? You take good instruction from wherever it comes. So here we're seeing a contrast between Vishwarup, very liberal Brahmana, and the demigods who are actually flattering him for a material purpose. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Any comment or question on this subject matter?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you told that one Brahmin can guide 9 Kshatriya and one Kshatriya can control 90 Vaisyas. Where it is mentioned all that and
I don't know. I heard possibly the Manusamhita, but Bhakti Vijayapurna Maharaj mentioned that, so you can ask him for where it's from, the source.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the class. Prabhu, you mentioned about pure devotee doesn't get the karmic reactions for accepting the disciples if he thinks that is this as a service for Krishna. But we see from past many ages, those who were pure devotees giving shelter to the disciples or devotees, they suffer, and they also tell that I'll take your karmic reactions. Like even if it say Jesus Christ also, he said that I'll take your sins. So we see even Jesus Christ is getting suffering. So the suffering of these pure devotees, is it karmic reaction?
I don't think I said they don't accept their reaction. It means they do accept the reaction. That's the position. The Guru accepts your karma, especially at the time of initiation. But because he's a transparent via media, he's seeing it. He's seeing it as Krishna, or my Guru, is sending these people to me to assist me in my service of being a Guru. So he's seeing it in the light of service, and so then he's doing that as an offering to his Guru. So then the karma which he takes doesn't stay there, because he's doing it for a service to his Guru. So ultimately, if they're pure, then all that goes up to Krishna. It's burnt up, you see, because everything is an offering for Krishna. So he does accept it, but it does for the pure devotees. It just passes through him. It doesn't stop there. But when the false ego is there, when you think, then it stops. False ego, then you have to get the reaction of that. He'll take it, but he won't keep it if he's pure, you see. It depends on his mentality.
Krishna. So my question is also connected to that question. You said that when they get the reaction, it goes through because they're acting as a transparent via medium. So it goes through, that doesn't stay there. But when it comes through, it affects the body, or does it not? Because we see some...
Sorry, last sentence?
It affects the body, doesn't it?
Affects the body?
Yeah, but in what way does it not affect them? Because the body is still getting affected, and we hear of examples of exalted devotees who explain that I'm going through this because there's some unqualified disciple within the midst of my disciples, so therefore I'm getting some kind of reaction. So which is the type of reaction that goes to Krishna, and which is the type of reaction that remains with him? Because the physical reaction appears to still be...
No, it depends, there's no if one is a pure, unalloyed devotee, that reaction may not be there. Depends on the I don't know. I can't really answer that. Where it stops. See, Prabhupada used to get sick, and he said it was for disciples, taken to karma with disciples. But we can't say he was a pure unalloyed devotee. I was thinking that it just depends on how transparent you are, so that much more you're going to receive or not. But in the case of Prabhupada, I cannot answer. You can say something?
It said this, he spoke to, I don't know if it's Brahmananda, I don't know who was there. He says, when he was sick, I got unqualified disciples, they're not following. So I guess maybe he was saying this as a sense of humility, I guess. But because Prabhupada definitely was on the highest platform, so I guess that's the question, how, because Prabhupada had mentioned this, I guess. But it's difficult to know on Prabhupada's level, I guess.
Yeah, out of humility, or that's how they speak.
Or maybe he was saying this to prepare for future gurus also.
You can't really understand those great souls. Whether it's humility, whether he's displaying it as a lesson for us who will be gurus after the guru leaves. Who knows? We can't understand the way the great souls act and for what purpose they want to achieve. Difficult. So I can't really say. But I was just thinking of the materialistic approach according to your surrender to Krishna. To that less you get, but it may not even be like that. I was just thinking with my materialistic mind like that.
Somewhere, I don't know. I'm not sure where, but Prabhupada does say that if you advance, then Krishna protects you. He protects the guru. I mean, I don't know where it's mentioned, but I know it's mentioned. Prabhupada explains that Krishna protects you when you take disciples if you've surrendered. So, I don't think it's a concoction what you're saying. I think the question is there still some physical reaction when passing through? I think that was the question. Because we saw Prabhupada getting sick, and although it could just be old age, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, we understand that Prabhupada comes to the Madhyam platform. So he experiences what we experience. That's what it means. Uttam Adhikari. He comes down to the Madhyam platform. It's actually consciousness that comes down to that Madhyam platform. Otherwise, he can't relate to the disciples, because if he's like Paramahansa, pure devotee all the time, then you say, well, he's a pure devotee, so he can't really. He can't be an acharya in as much as he's on a different level from us. But if he comes on our level, then he can display his the activities of being an acharya, of going through all the motions and experiences that we go through. Because if he stayed on that high post all the time, not being affected by anything, we couldn't relate to that. We say, well, it's different for you, Guru, you're up there, it's different for you. So no, he comes down. He actually comes down to the Madhyam platform. But the difference is he can go back at any moment. That's the difference. So he may be on the Madhyam platform, but he's not like, because any time he can go back to he's actually a surrendered soul to Krishna, so he can take that mode also.
Thank you, Purji. Just continuing with this point, there was one guru who he initiated a disciple, and this girl had the quite extreme eczema, skin condition with like itchy sores. And the day after her initiation, he called her and he asked her, "How is your eczema?" And then she said, "Oh, it's actually surprisingly, it's much better, Guru Maharaj." And then he pulled up his shirt sleeve and he showed her. It's full of sores. So he said, now you see where your karma has gone. But then the next day it was gone. So it shows that the Guru takes the karma, but he may manifest some symptoms for some time, but it goes away. He doesn't stay permanently with that karma. So I thought that was a good example. But also I'd like to add that it's not always that when the guru gets sick that it's a karmic reaction. It may be because the guru is a pure devotee, and so everything that happens to him is by Krishna's will. So if the guru gets sick, it may be Krishna putting him in that situation to show us, for example, that no matter what situation he's in, if his physical health or any condition, he's going to continue serving Krishna. He's going to continue with his service. His consciousness is not affected. He goes on with his preaching, his chanting, and all of that, to show us the example of how we should behave when we're sick or when we're in difficulty. So it could be either one of those things.
He does that with his greatest devotees. He does that. You see, the greatest devotees, they go through so many tribulations. Krishna puts them through so many tribulations, but they always remain staunch devotees of Krishna and never lose faith or lose hope. Thank you. Jai Sri Bhagavatam ki jai. Thakur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.